Hello, this is Andy Minosky, Vice President of Product at Kindo. Today we'll review how Kindo can be used to create DevSecOps agents to automate vulnerability assessments and remediations. For the first few steps, we'll combine data that we grab from a variety of sources to actually determine whether or not there are vulnerabilities inherent to the system. The first source that we'll use is MITRE's National Vulnerability Database, but we can also combine this data with another source, in this case, the VulnCheck KEV database, to be able to determine as much as possible if there exist any kind of vulnerabilities that could be exploited against the target system. We'll then collate all of that data, report on CVEs that could theoretically be able to be used to create backdoor access or privilege escalated accounts. And then finally, we'll actually generate a red team penetration test, which, as part of this process, will use one of the vulnerabilities that we've selected to be able to design an exploit that will access the target system and then be able to create an administrator account on that system that also has explicit public access as part of that red team exercise, summarize the results of our work, and then actually we could then modify this in the future to say, hey, if I'd like, I'd prefer to be able to remediate that vulnerability, and please generate me code to actually do that. In both cases, the code that we generate to actually perform this exploit, as well as in the future, assess and remediate that vulnerability, are able to be run within Kindo fully. So Kindo now is collecting data from both of these sources about that target system, collating them with a series of vulnerabilities, and now it's selected a vulnerability that's a relatively recent vulnerability that it thinks that could be used to be able to perform the type of red team action that we would like. We'll now specify the target system, and Kindo will now generate the red team penetration test, as well as provide the proof of concept of code that exploits this vulnerability to be able to perform an attack. In this case, a pre-authentication to serialization attack on the target system. Now, this data can be used, for example, to be run and actually perform the task of creating this administrative account on this system. Additionally, we could then instruct Kindo to generate remediation that could also similarly be run. But we respect the fact that SOC team analysts as well as red team analysts that are working within Kindo may not actually physically be working within this automation agent at all times. Instead, if we would like, we can access this agent via our public API, or we could create a trigger, in which case the agent will be triggered by the creation of a ticket within an external ticketing system that we would set up through our set of integrations. Once the ticketing system integration is selected, this agent can then be used to perform actions and then respond within that ticket system such that a human being continues to only use the actual systems of record that they use to prosecute investigations, vulnerability remediations today. The sum total of all of this is that human beings can then be interacting with Kindo and working with Kindo within the exact systems that they use every single day with minimal changes to either their workflow, their runbooks that they actually execute, or the ways in which they process, generate, and then remediate challenges and collate information.